I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to order. A couple of housekeeping things. If you have your cell phone with you, we would appreciate if you would silence your cell phone. If you wish to address the board tonight in citizens communication time, there are some citizens communication cards on the ledge there. We'd appreciate if you would fill one of those out. It's not required, but we would have a record of you speaking tonight. Other than that, we will have a roll call.
Assistant Mayor Hollibush is absent. Director Brewer?
Here.
Director Minor?
Here.
Director Hart?
Here.
Director Roberts?
Here.
Director Harris?
Here.
Mayor Brown?
Here. At this time, we will stand for our invocation, which will be given by Director Terry Roberts, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by District Court Clerk Karen Reed.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all that you've given us. We're especially thankful for your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. We pray a special prayer tonight for the conflict in Ukraine. We pray that there may soon be peace and that the families would be reunited again. We pray for those that are sick and those that have lost loved ones. We pray that you would just wrap your arms around them and comfort them as only you can. We pray for our meeting tonight, the mayor and the board of directors. We pray that the decisions we make would be a positive influence on the citizens and keep Texarkana, Arkansas in a positive light. All these blessings we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We'll move right on into our citizens communication time. I'll just take these as I was given them. At this time, I believe it's Phyllis Haynes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and in arriving here, I noticed that there was quite a crowd at the new recreation center. It looked good there.
Good.
Again, I'm here as a taxpayer, lover of dogs, and citizen who is requesting transparency of the Animal Care Adoption Center. There's going to be several topics that I'll speak on. Last we met, there were many wonderful suggestions by fellow concerned citizens, but the easiest I heard was a mission statement for ACAC. Has that been completed? After approval of said mission statement, may I suggest it being posted on all social media sites, any and all adoption events, which I hope the director is planning on getting started soon, and also posting of mission statement in the front lobby or on the doors of the new building. Mention was also made of focus groups at last council meeting. What topics have been resolved and how does the public learn of these issues and answers that were addressed? And on to social media. As we all know, social media can make or break people. In reading over some of the social media mentioning ACAC, I have noticed a couple that were, shall we say, disturbing. Two of which mentioned that they were, one, barred from the physical facility, and two, blocked from the Facebook site. I don't know the detail on these other than one was trying to donate, as requested, dog food, and somehow ended up being blocked. And this particular person does help local rescues, from my understanding. As an official director council member, you all know you're going to be criticized. Do you ignore and block that person or bar that person, or do you learn from these criticisms and improve? Blocking or barring or being mad at someone due to their difference of opinion is not the way to handle issues with any public office or business, and especially now that so many are demanding answers and transparency. Also, in doing the math on the donation money, I extrapolate there is $179,800 left. So is that money invested and paying out monthly stipends, or is it just sitting in an account waiting to be spent? Is there a way the public can be assured the monies left is truly going to ACAC only? And what exactly were the terms of the donated money, how to be spent, distributed? Is there any chance it's going somewhere else? Recently, there was a posting for a need of more dog food due to more than usual amount of puppies. It is understandable more help will be needed due to inflation being what it is and the availability of dog food. Is there a dog food manufacturer that could assist during the time of need, or maybe a big store like Sam's? I know the public will help. It's been done several times before. But until the public feels confident that ACAC is going in the right direction and the transparency is established, it might be an idea to network businesses for help. And speaking of networking and being involved with public events, is this being addressed? How many adoption events and where have they been scheduled? That type of networking, public event speaks volumes and works. The young lady, KT, did an excellent job at that and made people confident in what she did as director, and the public knew animals were being adopted or pulled by rescue groups. So with all that being said, I am ignorant as how to do this, so I am just going to request a special meeting just for topics concerning the Animal Care Adoption Center, so that these topics can be addressed and public confidence established and not take up other city business. And I do request at this special meeting that Ms. Turney attend so some of the public can at least meet her. Because most of us have just seen her picture. And as my granddaddy used to say, I don't know her from Adam, and I'd love to meet the lady. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it, and look forward to hearing more on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is David Peavy. David?
I'm David Peavy, live at 105 Olive downtown. I want to thank you guys for all you do. There's been a lot of talk about redoing the plaza down there and moving things around and bathrooms and all this stuff. I just wanted to say I'm all for that and look forward to those improvements. I do want us to think about an entertainment district could be more than just carrying a plastic cup around. It could be a real where there's entertainment. So I would like to encourage everyone to look at this a nude. Not a
nude?
we
don't have a permit for
okay.
that.
That is a different entertainment district.
A nude? Could you spell that for me?
Yes. I've had trouble spelling ever since they told me to spell it like it sounds.
Carl, do not print that.
Anyway, the best entertainer complex in the world is probably Disney, and they create a place that's magical, and they hide all the utilities. They do everything to where it's just really, really nice. I think that's the where we could aim for, and if we don't get there, but I want to encourage us not just put some Band-Aids here and there. I would encourage us not to use the loading dock down there, because it's always going to be a loading dock, that we bring it up here to Broad Street where we're wanting to do some, bring the stage up there. It could still have the same space in it, the same looks forward. I would be opposed to shutting Front Street down except for special occasions. The police use it in and out. And if we bring everything on up to where it can be used for the plaza area and for Front Street, maybe have a stage looking back, a stage looking forward, maybe have a divider. If we could pick that one up from the Four States Fairgrounds and bring down here and sit there, that would be a wonderful addition right there. I think you would, by creating a complex right there. But my real point is, if we can just raise our standards to think big. Think what could be if it was just a blank area out there. What would we do? Instead of trying to use this and that. That way it would be on city property. It would be allowable for AP to fund it on city property. It would be and we wouldn't be over there with the railroad saying, oh, we decided we want to use it for something later. And it would be up in city property instead of the trains. I just want to encourage you guys to look at that anew and try to bring it up to the highest standards possible, because I think we can make it make it really into something, and the whole complex down there, it's got a lot of things going for it, but at this point, I know that you guys are proud of things that are growing and happening down here, and I think it can continue if we do it in the right way. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wish to address the board tonight? Yes. Just state your name for the record.
My name is Dawn Smith. I actually run a rescue, Passion for Pooches. I've been doing rescue for over 15 years. I want to say kudos to the city for abolishing or making sure that people cannot chain their dogs out. I think that was a great move. But since then, there's more dogs on the street, more dogs are getting hurt, more dogs are fighting, more dogs are being bred, more dogs are being ran over. Something needs to be done about this. People are taking them off their chain and turning them loose. Therefore, the shelter's getting more calls, and they're not taking these dogs. I get calls every single day. Can you take my dog? The shelter refused me. These are people that live in the city limits, and the shelter is refusing to take these dogs that we have turned off these leashes. Granted, no dog should be chained at the Chevy yard, should be responsible dog ownership. They're turning these dogs loose. We held them accountable if they're on chains. We're not holding them accountable if they go out in the street and get run over. We're not holding them accountable when they get bred and produce puppy after puppy after puppy after puppy, which in turns more puppies and more puppies and more death and more disease among the city. It's a travesty what we've done to the animals in this town. And it's getting worse, not better. The shelter put out a Facebook post, which I think is great, that they're advertising the dogs that are available for adoption. But this is the first time in 15 years of doing rescue, I've seen one dog per run. In the ideal world, that'd be great. We are not in an ideal world. It needs to be more. If the dog's aggressive, unfortunately, those dogs need to be put down. And I don't want to see any dog put down, but if they're aggressive and not adoptable, they don't have a choice. But if they can get along with other dogs, there needs to be more dogs per run so the shelter doesn't have to turn down dogs and send them to the rescues. The shelter put out a plea for dog food because they accepted 2 litters of puppies. I accepted 25 dogs into rescue this month. And I turned down probably 50 dogs a day. And that is sagging.
50?
At least. Now, not all of them show. There's from individuals that haven't gone to the shelter, or, hey, I found this dog running loose. But for every one dog I take, I turn at least 50 down. The shelters cannot absorb the abundance of dogs the rescues cannot absorb the dogs that are being turned away from the shelter. It's not possible, it's not financially feasible, and we're doing the best we can, but we cannot absorb them all. I would hope, like Phyllis said, I would love to see a special hearing. I know the focus group is going to try to do some things, but things that need to be done now. Dogs are dying. People are being attacked by dogs. They're out there, they're running scared, they're running hungry. Some of them are aggressive, some are just desperate. And unfortunately, we can't save them all. Not until we get better spay and neuter laws in this town. And they'll have to be enforced. I talked to my veterinary clinic, I said, what do y'all have in mind? What can we do to make this better? And they said, spay and neuter laws are great, but you have to be able to enforce them. So I hope and pray that this, committee and can do something about that. At least y'all could get together. I know you can't talk to me, but get together amongst yourselves and see what we can do about this, because it is a problem.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
It seems I've become a messenger. Do I bring this to you, Mr. Brown?
Yes, they can. Okay.
And excuse me for having my phone. It's the quickest way I could jot my notes. I also sent this to each one of you in an email, to the email that was listed on the city's webpage. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to say that I also work in rescue, and like Dawn, I probably turn away that many dogs easy. By way of introduction, my name is Christina Tutt. I'm the president of TACT, Texarkana Animal Coalition Team, and have approximately 18 years' experience in various areas of animal welfare. When I spoke to you in February, I brought you 7 ideas for improving Texarkana's Animal Care and Adoption Center, and I hope that each of you have given that serious consideration. This evening, I would like you to look over the photographs I have attached. They'll be on your emails. You can do that at your leisure, that I have recently taken at the shelter. The issues that these photographs illustrate bring to light the unacceptable conditions for both animals and people that exist in the shelter. The most pressing that I find being unsanitary conditions in the kennel runs and exercise yards where vast amounts of animal feces was observed by me. On my first visit, there were 13 pens housing dogs that were littered with feces and urine. The air around the exercise yard, which is an outdoor yard, was malodorous, and the foul emanating from the actual shelter was so strong on my my visit 2 weeks ago, that it was detectable from the front door before I even entered the lobby of the facility. The ammonia levels were so high that my eyes and nose watered and my throat burned when I entered the cat area. This is not safe for animals, employees, volunteers, or visitors of the shelter, and no doubt is an OSHA hazard. The ventilation within the shelter is completely inadequate, as evidenced by the ammonia levels and foul odors that are present. Ceiling fans that are present are not in working order. The ceiling fan in the cat room has no blades. It was functioning, to be sure it was spinning, without any blades. I'm not sure how that is supposed to assist with proper air quality for the animals or the humans that work there. Ceiling fans in the dog runs are equally dilapidated and are beyond proper use and are covered with dust and dirt, with most of the blades bending down towards the floor. These are also not capable of assisting with proper ventilation or air quality, nor the swamp coolers that are present, but which are caked with dirt and dust on the filters, preventing proper usage. Many of the dog beds that are supposed to be used for animal enrichment and quality of life offer no more than an entrapment hazard due to the holes in the beds themselves and or broken metal legs, one of which I observed in the mouth of a pit bull mix who was chewing on it during my last visit. The middle leg was probably about this big. A pit bull easily could have swallowed that or could have become choked on it, resulting in risk of death due to ingestion. And dogs are known for eating some really weird stuff. Just in case you think a dog can't eat something, think again. The puppy room, which is a pass-through between the 2 kennel runs. Kennel runs run this way, and there's several small, almost like closets, but they join, they interconnect. That puppy room was closed some time ago due to parvo contamination that was unable to be contained despite disinfection and painting. The area was still testing positive for parvo. Today, that room houses unvaccinated puppies. I witnessed this on both of my recent visits to the shelter. With these and other issues the shelter is facing, there are many, and they can be daunting, I understand that, but I have good news for you this evening. I'm willing and able to put together a citizen volunteer team to correct as many of these problems as we can at no cost to the city, because it has to be done, and no one's doing it. Likewise, I'm willing to provide the city with a professional consultant who will tour the shelter and provide a thorough assessment as well as suggestions to improve the care for the animals in the shelter and for the employees who care for them. I'm willing to provide this consultant at no cost to the city because it needs to be done. All I need for these things to happen is for approval from the powers that be. If you, the board, and the city managers are willing to work with me and with the other volunteers and people in the community, I'm confident that together we can build a shelter program the city can be proud of. Thank you for your time.
Diane Hand? Yes.
Can I speak quickly?
Yes?
wasn't-
Are you
I
Miss
wasn't-
Hand? Are you Miss Hand?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm Susan Moore. I'm from Fix TXK. It's a spay and neuter program that me and two of my rescue friends put together, Whitney Harrison and Lauren Baird, to fund people that cannot afford to spay and neuter their animals, cats and dogs. And we started last March 17th. We're going on a year, and have spent well over $12,000, even more than that, and spayed and neutered well over 250 dogs and cats in that time, just on donations alone. And we started with our own money that we got from the stimulus package, and we put it together and decided to start this because we've been wanting to do it for a long, long time. And I just feel like we need some help. We need spay and neuter laws. It's heartbreaking to see this every day, and I just witnessed a picture from a girl in New Boston of a dog hanging himself on a chain that's supposed to be outlawed. This was today, this afternoon, right before I came here. And they were dealing with that at the time, so it's just out of hand. These are animals that we made our pets. We domesticated them. We, out of our own selfish needs, because we wanted them as our pets. And then people are just, tossing them away. I mean, and we're picking up the pieces of rescue. I do that too. I started fostering for Greg King in 2018 is when I started. But Dawn Smith is the one that really actually introduced me to the idea of getting into rescue, because her daughter and my granddaughters went to school together, and she's been doing this for a long time. But it's a very emotional thing. I didn't even know that I could get up here and speak tonight, but we really need help from y'all. We do. And we need Texas and Arkansas to come together again. That twice as nice. We need that. We need that. We need to work it out. I mean, we all work together. We live together. We're in the same community. We're all called Texarkana. And we need help. And we need to help each other. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Diane Hand, is there a, yes,
Mayor, what was the name of her business?
TAC,
TAC.
T-A-C-K.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
All right. My name is Diane Hand. I've been a foster for Dawn, Passion Pooches, for the last 10 years, probably maybe around 70, 80 dogs since then. I've also adopted 4 dogs from our shelter in the last 40 years. So I have a long history with the shelter. I volunteered there, and I've spent quite a few times there. In 1993, I went to the shelter to adopt my second dog from there. I'd recently moved into a new home, had a fenced yard, and was ready for a dog. I had a good idea of what size dog I was looking for. I knew I wanted a non-shedding, small dog under 30 pounds that didn't need grooming, approximately 3 or 4 years old. I took a walk looking through the adoptable dogs and locked my eyes with a dog that was nothing like what I was looking for. She was a scroungy-looking border collie, 1.5 years old, approximately 45 pounds. After making another trip around, I went back to her and made the decision to take her home with me. She shed, she needed grooming, she ended up weighing 55 pounds, which was nothing that ended up fitting my criteria. Had I not had the opportunity to see all available dogs in that shelter, I would have never met my Molly Sue, who slept in my bed, was my best friend, and gave me 16 years of love and devotion before dying of a brain tumor. Excuse me. In December of 2010, our Boston Terrier suddenly dies when he chokes on the knot off of the end of rawhide bone, which left our little 20-pound Susie Q home alone while we were gone to work. We knew she needed a companion. My husband and I went to the shelter 2 days later to find Susie a companion. This time we were looking for a small dog close to Susie's age, which was 2 years old. We really didn't want to go through puppy training. We walked through and looked at all the adoptable dogs and didn't really see anything that felt right for us. As we were leaving, we made a wrong turn and ended up in the puppy room. As we walked through, this little puppy practically jumped right in my arms to get my attention. I picked her up and we both melted, and we knew she was going home with us, even though she didn't specifically meet the criteria we'd gone in looking for. Once again, without the opportunity to walk through and view all adoptable dogs, we would have left without a dog, and my Nellie Bell may have never been adopted, especially since the shelter worker let us know that she had already been adopted and returned because she chewed up a TV cord at 5 months old. I said all this to say this. I've been told that people were not going to be able to walk to the shelter and look at the adoptable dogs. I don't know whether that's because we're ashamed of the shelter they're in. We don't want the people to know what deplorable condition these dogs are living in. I don't know really the reason for that, but I understand that they're going to ask the potential adopter what they're looking for, and go into the shelter and pick out these dogs and take them to this nice big pretty building that they want to show them off in, and let them choose which dog they want. This is unacceptable. I have 2 dogs that gave me some of the happiest times of my life that I never would have come across had I not had the opportunity to walk through and view every adoptable dog in that shelter. It's deplorable what they're living in. And yes, we should be ashamed of it. We should be. You wouldn't want your dog living in it. I don't want my dog living in it. And those dogs don't deserve to live in it. They didn't ask to be there. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes?
Do I have to say my name?
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Elizabeth Crawford. I'm not a real good speaker, but when it comes to animals, I'm passionate. And the thing about it is, I have a disability, and I felt like, you know what? I can go to the animal shelter and volunteer. I was there when Brenda Williamson was there. Great lady, loved the animals, and did everything for them animals. Didn't have a business degree, though. But then I was there when the new director came in, asked me what we should do about the building, and I said a jackhammer, because this building is atrocious. I worked there, I worked the laundry, I even had to get my ex-husband to donate a washer just so I could have clean linen for these babies. The washer we got, it was just one that we would use in a household. It wasn't commercial. Lord knows I was in there doing 15, 20 loads, as many as I could. But then I was told, well, you know, Liz, you got to kind of sit in the back and just stay in the dungeon. And I mean, you know, I like to go around and help people, talk to people, and I was put down. Told me I had to stay in that room. And I'm like, well, you know what? I ain't be able, because I like to get out and talk. I like to direct people to animals. They would spray the cages down, and the blankets would be soaking wet. And I would come behind the handlers and make sure them babies had clean, dry blankets. It was starting to get cold, and then, you know, all of a sudden, I get into it with one of the workers, because guess what? He's got baby puppies on cold concrete on just a little old blanket, and it took them 2 days to find a plastic pool to put that mama and her precious babies in. And that was just unacceptable to me. And it broke my heart. It broke my spirit. And I've done rescue. I lived in Mississippi. I worked in a sanctuary for animals. It was a no-kill sanctuary. Them dogs had yards this big to run in, each and every one. They weren't doubled up. They had grass to walk on. And I know what I'm talking about. But when that building was designed, I don't know who in their right mind designed that building for an animal shelter. There's no sunlight. There's nowhere for the dogs to run out on grass. They were just going to be in a concrete jungle. Those cats back there, you don't see the back cats, but you just see the ones when you walk into the left. Excuse me. they won't let you go down the good slope and see the ones that are kept in cages like this and this. Sometimes 2 at a time. If you're gonna have this good $800,000 building, at least you can make a catio or something for these precious babies. And you know, I love Texarkana. You know, I said I would never move back, but you never say never, especially when God's involved. And he honestly, we just need to do something better. Really, Texarkana is too big, and that lady that did donate that $1 million, she probably rolling over in her grave because she designated it. She designated that for cats. She didn't designate it for the city budget or whatever. And then I also found out this. I hate to point because this is just the way I talk. But, you know, when you make a good donation, if somebody dies and said, oh, I want donations to go to Arkansas Animal Shelter, well, guess what? Animal Shelter don't see that money. Y'all do. It's in your budget. But the Animal Shelter don't see the first donation when it comes to somebody like that. And like I said, Mama, please, as much as I love animals, do not send any donations to Texarkana, Arkansas, because they're not going to, the animals ain't going to see it. And it's a sad situation in that building. And something really, really needs to be done. That's all.
Anyone else? Yes.
My name is Denisha Willard, and I'm not a good speaker either. I just felt like I needed to get up and say something since Liz got up. She had called me because she was overwhelmed at the animal shelter and just in tears, needing some help, wanting to know if I could come help her. She needed a washing machine, and my husband, which is her ex-husband, and we had a front load washing machine, and we donated it. But she was so overwhelmed, she said I could use some help. So I did. I went down there. Let me tell you, I have never seen anything like it in my life. There was laundry this deep. The whole room. I mean, there was a little path that you could get to where the washer went in. We had to move stuff just to get the washing machine out and get the other one in. We ended up bagging and shoveling. We tried to save what we could that was on the top. But from this deep down was nothing but pure black mold. I have been sick since that day. I knew that would probably be an issue, but I'm telling you, that laundry room's not just the only thing. That's an issue with mold and rats. I mean, rats just coming under the walls, eating. There was 3, 4 beds that the dogs could have been laying on.
Yeah, brand new.
To bring them off of the floor that were still in boxes. I climbed down on the floor in all this mold and this urine and feces, and I pulled that out because we were cleaning that laundry room out. I pulled that out. We saw what they were, and we set them against the wall and asked for it to be put together. Or I could come back one day and do it. Or that's what it was going to end up being. And anyway, days later, I went back to do a little bit more work, and they were still leaned up against the wall. I mean, you can just see underneath that cabinet just the rat peel. I mean, it's just infested with, it's just nasty. I mean, just pure nastiness. And those animals, I have breathing issues, but those animals are going to have breathing issues from being in that. I mean, it didn't take me walking through the second door, and I was already having problems. But I have a passion also for animals, but it was horrendous what was there. If there was any way I could, I would have took them all, but I couldn't. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Does anyone else wish to address the board? All right, we'll move right along to our presentations. Our first is a proclamation declaring Tuesday, March the 8th, 2022 as Les Minor Day for recognition for his service to our community. So at this time, I'd like for Les to come forward, and I'll read a proclamation, and then the city manager and I will present it to you. For the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, March the 8th, 2022, whereas the city of Texarkana, Arkansas is pleased to express special recognition to Les Minor and to honor him for his distinguished 40-year career with the Texarkana Gazette. Whereas Les Minor began his work at the Texarkana Gazette as a featured writer in August of 1982 and was promoted to managing editor 5 years later. And whereas a managing editor, Les oversaw the paper's journalist, guiding news coverage for Texarkana and surrounding regions. And whereas Les served as president of the Arkansas Associated Press Managing Editors Association for 1 term. And whereas Les has displayed the highest example of character, ethics, morals, and unselfish service in the Texarkana area and will be missed both professionally and as a friend. And whereas on behalf of the entire board of directors, I want to express my sincere appreciation to Les for his dedication to the Texarkana Gazette, Texarkana, Arkansas, and our entire region, and wish him much happiness as he begins this exciting new chapter in his life. Now therefore, I, Alan Brown, Mayor of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim March the 8th, 2022 as Les Minor Day in the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, and will urge all citizens to join me in congratulating Les on an outstanding career with the Texarkana Gazette and extend our best wishes of happiness and good health in the future. Les, congratulations.
Look this way, right here. 1, 2, 3. He said, is this every year? This long?
Well, I appreciate you guys putting up with me for all these years, and of course, it just wasn't you, it was all the predecessors that went before you year in and year out. I never intended to stay in Texarkana this long. I was on a 2-year program to get to Dallas or Kansas City or a big paper. But they kept promoting me, and then I got married, and then I kind of became fond of Texarkana. And as a newspaper person, there is not a better place to be in terms of a town that generates news and interesting things, both the times we don't get along and the times that we do get along. And, you know, there's only a few things that Texarkana and Arkansas and Texarkana, Texas actually share. I mean, we share a state line, we share a federal building and a BJB, we share water, and we share a newspaper that covers both cities and 10 counties around the region, and that's a big job. And, newspaper editors don't really make people happy all that much, or at least a lot of times they don't make people happy. So I had my share of controversies, and I've had my share of things that I think people saw where we elevated up the community, where we celebrated the victories in this community, and we've been part of a path to move this community forward in a very good way. And everybody's asked me what I'm going to do next, and everybody's asked me, what my plans are, and I sincerely say I really don't know. This whole thing kind of came to me. One of my favorite movies is Forrest Gump, and y'all see Forrest Gump. Everybody knows Forrest Gump. And he was just sitting on his porch in Alabama one day and took off running. He said he was going to run to the city limits, he was going to run to the county line, he was going to run to the state line, he was going to run to California, then back to the east. He was running back and forth all across the country, growing this big beard the whole time. And suddenly in the middle of the desert, he just stopped and said, I'm tired, I'm going home, and yeah, I'm tired of all the pressure, and I'm tired of all the long hours, and I'm going to take a break and figure out what I want to do next. But I am I'm so glad that this town embraced me for so many years, gave me a chance to raise my family here, gave me a voice to talk about the things that were going on in Texarkana, to help be a part of the problem-solving process. And now I'm going to give that away to somebody else. And where I show up next, I don't know, but it probably won't be on the internet. So thank you guys for all you do. Public service is very, very difficult. The challenges are great. But I've liked working with you folks, and I know the city's going to move forward. I know the city's in good hands, and I thank you.
Thank
And I thank you for this. This is cool.
Les, do you think that we could get the app going again before you leave, or?
Yeah.
Is it still down?
I haven't checked it this afternoon, but my 83-year-old dad needs that bad. At this time, we'll have a presentation of the city, our service awards be presented by our city manager. The first on the list is Marion Holder with the Fire Department Administration, 10 years. Here she comes. Next is somebody that's been around a long time with our fire department, our current chief, David Fletcher, 30 years. Garrett Baker with TWU for 5 years. We have a Robert Polstra with TWU for 5 years. He's not here. And then last, we have Troy Daffern with TWU for 10 years. Let's give all of them one more round of applause. So at this time, we'll move into our consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight, we have items 3, 4, and 5. Item number 3 is approval of the minutes of the rescheduled meeting on February 22nd. Item number 4 is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with RBIS LLC for the Chelsea Street and Delaware 6th Street water main project. Adopt a resolution reappointing city staff to the Personnel Policy Committee. What is the desire of the board for the adoption of the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt.
So we have a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the consent agenda passes. So moving right along to our regular agenda tonight, item number 6 is to adopt a resolution accepting the 2021 Public Facilities Board Annual Report. Our city manager, Jay Ellington.
Mayor and board members, this is a requirement of the Public Facilities Board, and it is just their annual report of reporting financially of where they are in relationship to bonds outstanding, indebtedness that we've worked with to improve public facilities in our area. And this is an annual requirement, and I will be bringing back to you, hopefully in the next few months as well, some some changes to the membership of the board as well, so I'll be working on that over the next couple of months, and that'll come back later on, but this is an annual requirement for the Public Facilities Board.
Does anybody have any questions of the city manager? If not, would instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
Whereas pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated Section 14, 137, and 123, within the first 90 days of each calendar year, each Public Facilities Board shall make a written report to the governing body of the municipality or the county which created the board concerning its activities for the preceding calendar year. And each report shall set forth a complete operating and financial statement covering its operation during the year. Whereas in connection with its renewed and active operations, the Texas County Public Facilities Board has presented a written document as its report of activities for the 2021 pursuant to the above cited statute. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors that of the City of Texarkana is acknowledged that the attached is a copy of the document submitted and identified by the Texarkana Public Facilities Board as its annual written report of activities for 2021, acknowledged the 7th day of March 2022.
So the city attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor. Yes. Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. The resolution passes. Moving right along to number 7, adopt a resolution accepting a donation of land located at 121 Jackson Street. City Manager Jay Ellington.
Mayor and board members, this piece of property is adjacent to the park over across the way here, and will become part of the park as a future park. It's came to us from one of our employees' brothers, I think. So Christina, who is our manager at Bi-State, and her brother are actually on this tract of land together, and decided, since it was adjacent to the park, that they would donate it to the city.
Good thing.
Any other discussion? Any questions? What would be the desire? I'll just instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
Whereas Samuel Alexander wishes to donate his property located at 121 Jackson Street to the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, and whereas the property being described here and below, all of lot number 6 and block number 3 of the H.P. Williams First Edition, also known as Williams Southside Edition, to the City of Texarkana, Miller County, Arkansas. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that to approve this donation. Pass and approve the 7th day of March 2022.
City attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. And the resolution passes. Item number 8 is to adopt an ordinance, amending ordinance number M123 to amend the city's financial policy, Finance Director Tyronda Henderson.
Good afternoon, Mayor Brown, Board Directors, and City Manager, Mr. Ellington. This ordinance, the purpose of this ordinance is to amend ordinance M123 to increase the minimum number of days in fund balance from 60 days to 65 days. Are there any questions?
I'm sorry, increase the number of days.
From 60 to 65.
60 to 65.
Wow.
Praise the Lord.
Yes, we're trying to raise our minimum. GFOA recommends a minimum of 90 and not to exceed, I'm sorry, a minimum of 60 and not to exceed 90 days.
Rhonda, where are we currently at?
I will have to pull that fund balance number for you. We calculate fund balance at year end. It is very difficult to calculate fund balance anytime in between that time because it requires all of your accruals, knowing what all has gone in and come in for a certain time period.
No, I got you.
So
We
it's
knew
always
where- We
easy.
knew where we were
Yes,
a
sir.
couple months ago, and it was good.
Mhm.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
I would just like to say that I appreciate the finance department's aggressiveness, and one of the things that has concerned me, especially over the last couple of years, with the influx of funds that we have had, we've spent a lot of that money, and we have upgraded the infrastructure of the city, which in turn will eventually continue to cost us more money.
Yes.
And so evaluation of that on an ongoing basis will ensure that the city has an operating fund balance of at least 60 days worth of, it's not going to be 60 days, but it's going to be increased on an ongoing basis because we're just quite frankly increasing our expenses with additional things that we're doing and expanding to. So I appreciate your approach.
And that is definitely reflected in the year-end 2020 budget. If you look at it, it shows that our number of days in fund balance decrease,
Yep.
but our actual fund balance increase,
Right.
which show that our expenditures are most definitely increasing.
Outstanding.
Any other questions for Ms. Henderson?
I got it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Unless that's a different, and that's only, is there another ordinance after this one?
Yes, sir. I do have two ordinances for
Okay.
tonight.
It must be on the other one then.
That's the state mandate on the spending.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on raising the fund balance ordinance? I remind the board, this is an ordinance. To pass the ordinance tonight, it would have to be read 3 times. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its first reading?
First reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
So a motion and a second to have it read on its first reading. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Mayor, before I start, just for purposes of the record, on this one and the next one, there is a 74 should be, or 72 should be 74, and 70, maybe 27 in the other one is 72. Those are mine. I'll own them. I'll just let you know. I see them as I sit here. They'll be corrected. So this one is an ordinance amending the financial policies originally adopted by ordinance M-123 and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its second reading tonight?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
So a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading in abbreviated form. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending the financial policies originally adopted by ordinance number M-123 and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading?
Third and final abbreviated form.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to have it read on its third and final reading tonight. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending the financial policies originally adopted by ordinance number M-123 and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire of the board to have this ordinance adopted?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt, is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing none, could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. And the ordinance passes. Item number 9, our last item on the agenda tonight, is to adopt an ordinance to amend ordinance number M59 to update the purchasing policy of recent changes to the state statute. Ms. Henderson.
The purpose of this ordinance is to amend ordinance M-59 to update the purchasing policy for recent changes to state statute and federal grant guidelines. Arkansas Statute 1458-104 constitutes a significantly revised schedule of items for which competitive bidding is not required. State Statute 1458-303 raises the maximum potential threshold for competitive bidding purchases to $35,000. Federal grant guidelines requires a vendor check for suspended and debarred vendors, as well as maintaining a copy of the results in the award file. Are there any questions?
Director Harris.
Yes, sir.
Up under section 6, it says affirmative action plan, where it say consistent with the President Executive Order 11625-11238, and give another number. And we're just saying, it's talking about, we should have affirmative action plan when using, small business, minority-owned business, woman-owned business, whenever possible. I'm just trying to ask as to when have that really took place, and how is that going to be taking place?
Well, what we do is whenever we provide RFPs and bids, this affirmative action part of it is also included in those RFPs and bids whenever it's necessary, so that they know that those businesses, that these are put in place. Also, if you ever notice, we use a lot of small businesses and any other minority or woman-owned business when we have the opportunity to.
I'm gonna give it, say you put out a bid, and even though the minority-owned bid is not the lowest bid, what would take place in that factor?
I'm sorry.
I'm saying that if you normally go with the lowest bid, but I'm looking at this, I'm just trying to see as to, because I know I've been asked about some biddings on a house, tearing down houses, and it was minority owned. I told them to contact the Public Works, because from a board member, I don't think I would get that much involved as that, but he just wanted to know how would he be able to get involved in that. But then again, my question is again, if the bid, if just say that was a bidding process and that was a minority owned bid, and that bid won the lowest bid, technically, wouldn't that come back to us to say that the person wasn't the lowest bid, but you want to go with that person? How would you go? How would that be handled
With this affirmative action plan, nothing says that we have to give that bid to a minority or small-owned business if they are not the lowest bid. This just simply says that we will make every effort to make sure that the RFPs are available to them.
Any other questions?
Rhonda, was the previous policy 25,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
State statute, they made a lot of changes. They increased the threshold to 35,000 before it's required competitive bidding. Also, there are a lot of items that used to be approved by this board that are not considered. They're considered sole source, and they don't have to be bid out anymore. That list is very long now.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Henderson? If not, what would be the desire to have the ordinance read on its first reading?
First reading, abbreviated form.
Second. So a motion and a second to have it read on its first reading in abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend and update the purchasing policy of the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
The ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its second reading tonight?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend and update the purchasing policy of the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading?
Third and final reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
Motion and second to have it read on its third reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend and update the purchasing policy of the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it adopted tonight?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt, is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this ordinance? Hearing none, could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor. Yes. Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and the ordinance passes. So that's the last item on our regular agenda tonight. Is there anyone that wishes to address the board on board commentary?
I'd like to, Mayor.
Okay?
Just something for the board to think about. I know Director Minor and Director Brewer have done a great job on the A&P Commission. Bless you. And I've had a lot of the businesses downtown, I've met with them, talked to them, and being stakeholders in downtown, you know, they have ideas and stuff on like the bathrooms and the stage that was brought up tonight, and to give them an opportunity to come in an open session where we can interact with them and get their opinions and what they think would work. I don't think that would be a bad idea, because they're the ones that are putting a lot of money into downtown, and we can't do it without the private investors. And I just think it would be something good to give them an opportunity to tell us what their ideas are.
Most definitely. We'll make sure you get the next meeting date
That's good.
for invite for those stakeholders.
Any other board member?
Well, on that topic, I spoke to Jay today. I think it would be a great idea for this board to have a workshop. And I know that Jay's got a list of the business owners downtown, and also have their input on, what their ideas are as well. People want to be heard. I think we've got a great opportunity to revitalize the Arkansas side downtown. And I think it'd be great to bring everybody together and come up with the best solutions we can. So I asked Jay if he would talk to everyone and maybe put a workshop together or two, and have those business owners come in and open it to the public if they want to bring some ideas.
Agree.
Any other discussion? If not, we'll move into our city manager's report.
Mr. Mayor and board members, I got a number of items for you tonight. First, I wanted to share with you that I did see a notice that Senate Bill 103 has passed the legislative scrutiny, and that will award $5,000 to each one of our police officers
Nice.
as a single one-time contribution. Those monies are
Did I read that?
putting out by the state of Arkansas for our officers, for the state police, so everybody in law enforcement, sheriffs, and everybody. So that's, so when you do see our legislative folks, please thank them for that recognition of that important.
This would make note too, that is for certified. That was a big discussion in the Senate this week, last week when it was passed, and the caveat to that was to pass that money back to the cities, because we understand who's certified and who's not, but it's only for certified police officers.
And that money will actually come to the cities, and we then will disperse those funds. I did and had on my notes to go ahead and set a meeting with the developers from downtown to try to receive some of their input in relationship to Front Street Park. So I'll probably set an open public workshop with me, which everybody would be invited to. But it will be specifically asking the property owners in the downtown area to come and see my presentation, ask some questions, and hopefully get their input from any changes of what we're looking at currently. I am working on, and I think you may have, I don't know if I put it in this last week's overview or not, I'm beginning to work on a number of plans that I will bring forward to you. So I am working on a street plan, a drainage plan, and a public facility plan, 3 different plans. Now, these will be a 10-year look at what we need to do capital-wise for all of these particular areas for our community. And so they will come with some recommendations. I'll just give you an example. Let's just say we need 50 million for whatever. And that 10-year plan may say we need 20 million to start with, and 10 million, and then 10 million as an example. But I will have those ready hopefully in 90 to 120 days here and be open for discussion. And I hope we invite our public in to have discussion with us about how we go look at the future and how we're able to pay for that look as well. So it'll have some opportunities and how to fund these improvements as well. So it won't come just to you saying this is what the cost is, but it'll have some recommendations on funding as well. I forgot to write down the date for the pitch it date that it's taking place at Cross Ties. That's where we invited I think it's a chamber program where they invited folks in to pitch their ideas about starting businesses and starting things. And
Mike, do you know when that is?
I just
Not right off the top of my head. It's also partnered with the leadership Texarkana group.
Right, so I just remember it's a Friday night. I do remember that, but I'll get that to you as well on when that is. With the chamber, we have 2 items coming up. Of course, their annual meeting and then their State of the City breakfast as well. So I think we've given you notices on both of those. Make sure you communicate back with Linda on that. I'm scheduled to go to AML to the mid-year meeting at the end of April. So I just let you know about that. The Quorum Court JDC committee is meeting tonight, and their finance committee. I have shared with them that we are not quite at the point to give them our recommendation concerning JDC, but we will have that ready hopefully here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we will bring something forward. And as soon as I have that ready, I will share that with y'all as well. It will be presented along the same lines that we presented the jail new interlocal agreement. So we'll bring that forward as soon as we get it ready. I wanted to share with you, I had a unique experience last week where I reached out to a number of Arkansas high students. And I reached out to them. I asked Robin to help me find some students who would be interested in city business, and more particularly, trying to help us plan for the future, because many of these youngsters hopefully will live their future here in Texarkana, Arkansas. And so I have a group of 6 or 8 students that came together with me, and they started with an overview project and did a survey with me. They'll move right on into the comp plan elements. As we meet on them, they will be able to participate in that process as well, and give us their ideas and concepts about the comprehensive plan. I think we have three meetings altogether scheduled with that youth group, so I thought that was a good way to stretch out us a little bit, and some folks that can make a difference way out into the future for us as well. So that's all I have for you this evening.
Okay. Any other business? If not, I would entertain a motion. Yes, Mike.
March 31st.
March 31st.
That's the breakfast and
No, the breakfast is the 29th on Tuesday.
29th. Is that the one
March
where we-
29th.
is that-
Pitch it is on the
Pitch is
31st.
on the 31st.
Right,
Okay.
at Cross Ties.
Any other discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion and second to adjourn. Could you call the roll, please?
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor. Yes. Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, we're adjourned.
What's the breakfast? What's the breakfast?